So long, my friends, I'll see you again. It pains me to be here without Lynn. My time has come, mine so cumbersome, filled with whiskey, filled with sin, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town. So long, my folks, how the story goes. I can't look back from moving on. I'll take my time saying my goodbyes. I'm reminded of the times my father cried. I flew just like a bottle gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm's around. It's time to leave. It's time to leave this broken town. I'll take this road, however far it goes, and I'll drown my woes in every bar it holds. This bitter end left a bitter man. My sweetness left last summer's end. I flew just like a bottle gracefully to the dirt beneath, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave this broken town, trampled down, this storm surround. Time to leave. Time to leave. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town. Time to leave this broken town. My heart, pumping all day long, getting me to morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. I'll bear it, it takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same within? My with these things that I call my own. Life, it isn't always grand, but when you finally take that stand, you become a man. You needed to you left, I could not see. I guess people just do what they want. Yeah. Time, it goes faster every day, and my heart, it leads the way, while the future, it fades into a memory. Is always at my back. My back is always strapped with these things that I call my own.
Sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Caught Up is an echo chamber for content creators. Almost all content on this show, Caught Up, is created by citizen journalists. I share content created by citizen journalists whom I believe to be the best at finding facts buried deep into the abyss, or outlets whom I believe to be the best for verifiable information. We have to operate within their system, and we only have the information they allow us to have. These individuals who nerd out on fact-finding missions and then add their opinion to better inform me, to make the best choice for me, in this war of narratives is Resolute. This information war is a battle for your mind and ultimately compliance. Mainstream media would have you believe that an echo chamber promotes the spread of misleading information or fake news, thereby reinforcing one's confirmation bias. So, I am excited to share the content in hopes you will turn off mainstream media, whom I believe is just another version of entertainment. So again, welcome to Caught Up.
Hello? Hello, hello. All right, let's try this now. Let me see where I'm at. All right, let's try this now. Here we are. There's always something, guys, right? So, okay. I apologize. You would think by now that we'd have this all together, but technology would prove me wrong, as you can see. Otherwise, when I came on here, you would have heard me speaking. So anyway, welcome to Caught Up, episode 54, and it's going to be a good show tonight. It's a pre-Thanksgiving show. I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there cooking, getting ready, and all that good stuff like that for Thanksgiving tomorrow, and spending time with the family, and you know, everything that goes into that, which is a lot of work. Just, we all know that. So if you take a few minutes out of your evening to listen to what I got to say, watch some video, see some clips, and talk about all things political for an hour or two, I appreciate that. So let me make sure, guys. Yep. All right. I don't know if any of you have been following Badlands Media here lately. And Chris Paul, in particular, he has a show on Rumble now. I'm your moderator. For the life of me, I probably should have had his link set up, but I don't. Anyway, I just stumbled across it. He had it on Substack and that kind of stuff, but and then YouTube too. So probably other places, but he has a paid subscription. Anyway, long story short, he's done an excellent job going through the cabinet picks and the Doge with Elon and Ramswamsi, or however the hell you pronounce his name. So get a chance, look him up, Chris Paul. I'm your moderator. You'll find him. You just type it in there, I'm pretty sure, and look for his episodes. Some of it is a paid subscription, and some of it's not, so it just depends on what you want to do. But anyway, I wanted to throw that out there. I wanted to say he's done a fantastic job. So we're going to do a little bit of the same thing. It's been over a week since I had a show. Got a lot going on. I hope next week at some point I'll be in my new location. So kind of having somewhat of an issue, and I don't want to discuss it on here, but once it's all set up and done, the background will change, and I'll be in a different location, and so and hopefully we'll get back into a routine again, because at the moment they have my attention more so on what's going on that piece of property than what's going on in the political stage at the moment. So I apologize for that, but we'll get back into a regular routine, and we'll have fun with that. So let's get into it automatically. Oh no. Wrong thing, guys. You would think I would, like I said, have my act together. So Trump cabinet picks. So what I want you to see here is it's his cabinet and staff nominations, and what you see right there is those individuals have to be Senate confirmed, required, supposedly. If you listen to like I said, Chris Paul, you'll find out that maybe some of this is not as Senate confirmed is what we need, like the process with the recess, which I don't necessarily pretend to understand completely, but they may have found what some would call a loophole today of doing things to get around these unelected officials and these background checks and that kind of thing. They're not necessary. We have been programmed to believe that they're what it takes, and it's part of the process of the nomination, and there's nothing, from what I understand, that's actually by law or constitutional for that to happen. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I haven't dug into it quite as deep as some of these guys have, but just very interesting. So there could be some circumventing. Is that the right way to say it? Maybe around this. That might be strange to you and me, and absolutely legal, all at the exact same time. So I want to show you this video that I created about the smear campaign. And as we know, we have Attorney General nominee Pam Bondi, because our boy Matt Gaetz stepped out, and here's why.
It's a diversionary tactic. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear. If you want to talk politics, call it the wrap-up smear. You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this. So they have that validation that the press reported the smear, and then it's called the wrap-up smear. Now I'm going to merchandise the press's report on the smear that we made. And it's a tactic, and it's self-evident.
So as you can see, Pelosi absolutely outlines it exactly the way that it's supposed to go, the smear campaign. And those are her words, folks. Those are not mine. And I did do the video. I wanted to separate the things that she was saying and throw those clips in there to just give an example of the things that they've done. And they do this, and they have done this for years. And so it's about time we wake up. And I know that the people that listen to my show and other shows like mine, you guys are awake, and it's hard to convince the normies of the world or even the lefties of the world. Some have woken up, I'm sure, but we're still here. We were led to believe. Anyway, let's go through this right here. So these are the Senate confirmed required, supposedly, and these are the ones that are not required. And look, obviously the vice president elect, which is Vance, and then you have, look, his chief of staff, deputy chief of staff, and there's 4 of them, which honestly I didn't realize there was that many. The borders are Thomas Homan, which he's been front and center all over the news, obviously. National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, there's some history behind that gentleman. White House Counsel Bill McGinley, Communications Director Stephen Chung, Press Secretary Caroline Levitt, Staff Secretary Will Scharf, Sergio Gore. His name has been cut off. And then Government Efficiency, the Doge, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy. FCC, Brendan Carr, the Deputy National Secretary Advisor Alex Wong, Deputy Assistant to President Sebastian Gorka. So maybe Sergio Gore was correct. I'm sorry. But either way, these guys are not required any type of confirmation, and some of these are the most important positions on this cabinet. So it's odd to me, just a little strange. Some of these guys, what I really want to say is I think that these people they're either real cabinet choices or they are diversionary decoys or they're the next character up or whatever little word you want to use to be a part of this next exposure phase. And what's being exposed is President-elect Donald Trump got these out in a record time, I believe, so that the narrative could be out there. And I'm sure, without a doubt, he's vetted all these people. Some of these people worked for him previously, some that he has learned to trust and that kind of thing. So some of these guys are part of I don't know, maybe it's an op. Yeah, there's so many different ways to game theory this because what is he trying to show us here? And I know that we keep doing this week like this. Here we have, one in a landslide in the electoral and popular and the House and the Senate and all these things to be celebrated, this, that, and the other, and then these cabinet choices come out and you have left-wing media, CNN, was it Morning Joe, all them guys flipping the hell out over Matt Gaetz and others, Pete Hegseth. Who else? Let's see. Lori Chavez DeReamer. So just weird how they did that. So let's watch this short video real quick, or not. I'm gonna share this short video real quick. Check it out.
Him or anybody.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's okay to look at these people. I mean, the public, if we're going to have a government of, by, and for the people should take some responsibility to know who the people are, who they are handing their power over to. And we can get to some of that in a second. But if Donald Trump is the man that we all believe him to be, then he should want us to be doing that. The public should be vetting all of these candidates. And it's not like we're approaching it the way the conning people do or the way the people on the left do, where they will figure out a bad thing about that person and then shift immediately to saying Donald Trump is terrible for that person and MAGA are all cultists for supporting that person and immediately direct it to their anger to where it was directed before. We're saying, hey, maybe this candidate right here that he's nominated for this post isn't that good of a candidate for that thing. Maybe there's some corruption. Maybe these things we have to know about. I mean, the Surgeon General person, you've got the vaccine complaint, the lockdown complaint, some COVID censorship complaints. All that might be totally valid. And people are like, but Marty McCarty, he was based during COVID. Well, no, he wasn't. He was giving the controlled opposition side of it. He wasn't blowing the COVID narrative apart. He was just being critical of the central narrative. And so, the point to make beyond that, and I'll pause for a second, but the point to make beyond that is that none of these people really have any power to begin with. And whatever power they have in these agencies is systematically being stripped away by the rest of what Trump is doing.
That's pretty interesting, isn't it? What Chris Paul says right there, right? I think so. He does an excellent job deciphering through the garbage. And look at there. It's real Ed Reno, man. How you doing? It's been a little while since I seen you, guy. Like I said, I didn't do a show at all last week. I've been dealing with some things, but it's good to see you in the chat, man. That's for sure. So, but anyway, Chris Paul from Badlands. I'm your moderator. Does an excellent job at getting into that part of it right there. So, these AGs that don't, let's get into them for a moment. Let's see. Which ones are they? Let's look at Mr. Let's look at Mrs. Let's do this right here. How's that? Pam Bondi. See that? Pam Bondi right here. What says, served on Mr. Trump's legal team during his first impeachment and currently leads the legal arm of America First Policy Institute. If you're not familiar with who they are, I suggest you look up the American First Policy Institute. After stepping down as Florida's Attorney General in 2019, she went on to work as a lobbyist for Ballard Partners, run by Brian Ballard, a close associate and fundraiser for Mr. Trump. So when we say that some of these cabinet picks are strategic decoys, are actual or characters for the next stage of exposure when it comes to some of these agencies. So, Attorney General, right? And then, look, if you go to this is the article is tracking Trump's cabinets and staff nominations, and I believe it is a, oh gosh, what is that? Is that a New York Times? Might be New York Times, guys. I apologize. Yes, New York Times. Some of these are Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Some of these are Gateway Pundit. Forget me if I forget. But then when I look at my browser, then it tells me, and yeah, how dumb. So Pete Hegseth, Defense Secretary. He's a Fox News host and a veteran of wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And, you know, I used to watch Fox News in the morning and that kind of thing. And you know, I thought Pete was pretty good, but then there's a bunch on there that I don't like, you know, but I still was, I don't know, kind of partial to Pete. And what was the other girl? I think she's still on there. Anyway, long story short, is he a character in an op? Is he actual? Or is he here to expose something? I want Booty Goose job. Who's Booty Goose? Forgive me. Who's Booty Goose? Ed Reno. Who's Booty Goose? Anyway, is Pete Hegseth actual? Because, you know, the news, when they don't like these cabinet choices, I mean, they go after them. I mean, they went after Gates, and then they went after Hegseth about his. Well, they said they tried to make it sound like it was an affair and all this other stuff. I mean, just, and then if you do a little research for yourself and you find out that it's not anything like the news was, what they were saying. And we've been trying to convince people that the news doesn't tell the truth, right? They're just another form of entertainment. So if we go down to the labor secretary, is that DeReamer? That's the wrong one. Hang on. I'm looking for, where's she at? Okay, so here's another one. Oz. Mehmet Oz, whatever. We all know I can't spell Mayor Pete. I can't spell Mayor Pete's Secretary of Transportation. Okay, let's see. Secretary of Transportation. Where are we at? Secretary of Transportation. I gotta find him. Defense. Oh, Sean Duffy. Is that who you talking about? Booty Goose. Oh, you want? I get it. The real Ed Reno's a truck driver, so that's why he wants the transportation job. That is a good. That's good, man. I agree with that right there. So, but Evan Oz. Remember that dude when he's running, and Trump. Yeah, that's his buddy supposedly, right? But yet, I'm not a big fan of him. Buttigieg. Yeah, that's butt plug. We call him butt plug, man, because that dude, he's got some real issues. He was never very good at transportation, except whatever it took to transport it into his Buttigieg. So, anyway, Matt Emmett Oz, I wasn't a big fan of. Still not a big fan of. But again, do we ask ourselves, is this an actual? Is he a character in an op, or is this about exposure? Medicare and Medicaid administrator, right? Lee Zeldin, EPA. Okay, well, EPA. These are people that probably shouldn't have an agency or exist, right? So Lee Zeldin was a. Oh gosh, I thought he was a. Who was he? A former congressman from Long Island. I thought he ran for. Oh, okay, unsuccessfully ran for governor. That's right. He did run for governor. Yeah, Roger that, man. I got you at Real Ed. We want Real Ed Reno over. We want him over transportation. So, but Lee Zeldin, there's another character. Is he part of an exposure, or is he an actual? And look, I know we can say this all day long because it's almost like multiple choice options here on tests, but it's true. Are these people put in there, and so to expose something? So, for example, if I get down to her, where's she at? Darn it! Right here, Jeanette. News Howat, whatever, is a Fox News medical contributor and sister-in-law of Representative Michael Watts of Florida, who Trump has chosen to be his national security advisor. Well, we know that this lady was pro-vaccine, pro-everything, pro-lockdown, and then she changed her mind. She's a Surgeon General. This position is not necessarily a needed position. So, did Trump put her there as a character for an op, or to expose the position for what it is, whether that's needed or not needed, or to expose the fact that her sister-in-law is married, and sister-in-law, is married to Michael Walls, right? And then, let's see. Let's keep going. Where's the Secretary of Education? Secretary of Education. If you've heard President Donald Trump talk about anything, he's talking about getting rid of the Department of Education, giving it back to the states. Kind of like the abortion thing. Let's see. In all seriousness, I pray we're making a turn for the better and for us all. But here's the thing. We can't stop just because he won. And in my next segment, I'm going to talk about why. Because these things are not real. And we haven't fixed our elections yet. So, but before I get to that, but I absolutely agree in all seriousness that some of these things are for the better, but we just can't get comfortable again because our champion is the president-elect, right? And so we got to continue this. So we are led to believe at the moment that we have won this electoral, and we won it on a what's a popular level, and everybody and there's a lot of people out there, maybe everybody's a strong word. There's a lot of people out there that think that it's all fixed now because that happened, and I'm just of the opposite. So anyway, Education Secretary and Linda McMahon was part of the WWE or WWF, right? Let's see. Let me read more. Can I open this right? Yeah, here she is. A former professional wrestling executive who ran small business administration for much of his first term to lead the education department, an agency he has routinely singled out for elimination. Right? So he puts her in charge. And so is she a character that's just there to fill a role? Is she an actual? Or is this that op to expose the Department of Education? I fully believe that the federal government has messed it up. I say often that I have a public education and a East Tennessee public education at that. And honestly, I don't think I'm that dumb, but I say that to reference the fact that even for my time, the federal government had their hands in that way too much. And what I mean by that is they found a way to corporatize public education by mandating rules for public education to run on based on federal dollars that are given to them. And that, my friends, is a big problem. Absolutely. Comfort's what got us here now. That's right, Ed. And so I hopes that this lady is an actual to help diminish the Department of Education, because I don't believe that the federal government should have their hands in that at all. I think it needs to go back to the states. And once, if we ever get the elections fixed for real, where they are lawful and legal, then we will get public education back where it belongs, and our country will once again lead the world in education because of that. Because at the moment right now, the agenda is for it to be woke and ultra liberal and weak, almost like what they're trying to do to our military. So, all right, who else? Sean Duffy. Okay, let's go back. Mr. Duffy's former Wisconsin congressman and a Fox Business host. It's almost like President-elect Trump has put a bunch of these Fox commentators in place to, I don't know, it's sort of funny to me a little bit, but, maybe not. Howard Lutnick, and if you've heard of Burning Bright on Badlands Media, he is very impressed with Lutnick, and while I don't observe him exactly the same way, and it's only because of my lack of information that I have on him, I just would refer to Burning Bright on that situation with this gentleman right here. So, but we have 23 out of 23 picks. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over Health and Human Services. The hell was that? Anyway, Health and Human Services, is this another agency that needs to be demolished? Maybe not completely, but it's bigger than its britches, and the fact that is, once again, is he a character playing a role? Is this being exposed, or is this an actual, and so, last but not least, let me see if we can find it. Where are they at? And you guys can go through this yourself. There's some familiar names like, Stephen Miller, Dan Scavino. But the one I'm looking at right here, the Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy, whatever, right? Over Doge, government efficiency effort. Again, are these characters in a role? Are they exposing some things, or are they actual? And I got to believe these two gentlemen in this particular position, in this particular newly founded agency, plays a role of all three, because they're once and their goal is to expose everything, everything under the sun that's too big. And there's an article on the Wall Street Journal that was written, an opinion about these two, what they did, and or what they're talking about. Anyway, they the article's very good, and after Thanksgiving, maybe on Friday, I'll get the article. We'll go over it a little bit on the show, and we'll get into some of that because it's very interesting on what they've already expressed. And what if they do that on a podcast on X, where each week or maybe every day they expose something new about the inefficiency of the federal government, because and the money that they're allotted to be inefficient is going to be exposed in ways, and on a platform that has millions of people that can see this in real time. And it does not matter what the mainstream media has to say, because it all has been exposed as a giant lie. What a time, ladies and gentlemen, we are living in. Just my opinion. Let's see. Sometimes you have to build a fire in order to put it out. Yeah, that's exactly right, man. And so it's exactly what we're doing right here. So let's get back to the content right here and watch this video real quick.
Or he's got people with deep knowledge of these agencies and organizations that need to be taken apart. You know, the purpose, if I'm understanding the purpose of the next Trump term, it's not to figure out how to make all of these agencies run better. It's in many cases to simply eliminate them.
Yes.
And so if we're going to take these things down responsibly, and maybe we'll get some of that Doge article or that op-ed that Elon and Vivek wrote over the course of this week, you know, a lot of what they're talking about, this dismantling, is a process that we're going to have cover stories with the entire Doge operation. But at the end of the day, these agencies shouldn't be doing most of the things that they are ostensibly doing. They're really just wasting money and implementing the global regime agenda, which makes them actually adversarial. We don't want them run a little better. We want someone to get in there, capture all that information, figure out where all the problems are, what needs to be removed, what needs to be saved, if anything, and then begin that that reduction in size and scope.
So, very interesting, the comment that he gives right there. He's absolutely correct in what he's saying. And I really love his insight. Chris Paul on Badlands Media is probably one of my favorites, probably at the very top. And then I would have to say Just Human, Burning Bright, and then John Harold. But these guys do an excellent job diving into all of that and making us aware of what's going on, giving us insight and an opinion based off facts, I believe, and so that we can make an educated decision and a choice for ourselves. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Because it's an information war. It's exactly what it is. It's absolutely an information war. Because if it ever becomes kinetic, then we know. Then we absolutely know, right? So, all right. that right there, guys, is everything I have when it comes to the cabinet picks, the ones that are confirmed by the Senate and not. And as I said, if you will go and check out Chris Paul's I'm Your Moderator cast on Rumble or Substack, you'll find that he goes deeper into this. Very interesting, though. Something we need to be sharing. People need to be talking about this right now. Yes, Trump is president-elect. We got to get to January 20th, January 6th. We get these checkpoints along the way that are part of the process of election, and if they're to be real, so it is what it is, right? Okay. Next thing. So, whoops. Let's go right here. Can you hear me? Of course you can hear me. Right here. Right here.
If Trump attempts to weaponize the justice system against his political opponents with Matt Gaetz at the helm, we could see incoming Senator Adam Schiff as our shadow attorney general, arguing against replacing our independent prosecutors with Trump loyalists. If Trump seeks to eliminate the Department of Education, Congresswoman Johanna Hayes, a former Teacher of the Year, could step up as shadow education secretary to loudly defend public education in the United States. If Trump orders Marco Rubio to hand Ukraine and much of Eastern Europe to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Congressman Greg Meeks, as Shadow Secretary of State, could be a strong voice in support of maintaining international relationships and protecting democracy at home and abroad. Senator Michael Bennet as Shadow Treasury Secretary, and Congresswoman Susan DelBene as Shadow Commerce Secretary could help ensure the middle class and small businesses have a voice in government and call out Trump's proposed tax cuts for billionaires and corporations. As Shadow Defense Secretary, Congressman Adam Smith, a great representative for the people of Washington and not a Fox News host, could counter Trump's threat to use military force against his political opponents and work to ensure that the Department of Defense stays loyal to the Constitution and not some wannabe dictator. And Senator Tammy Duckworth could argue against cuts to the Department of Veterans Affairs that would delay the benefits and care our service members have so rightly earned. If Trump hands over the EPA to big oil ally Lee Zeldin, we could see Congresswoman Kathy Castor pushing back for environmental protection and conservation to protect the air we breathe and the water we drink. And if Trump pushes to ban abortion nationwide, Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro could step in as Shadow Secretary of Health and Human Services to defend women's right to choose and argue against the gutting of Medicare by Trump and his cronies. Mr. Speaker, new times require new solutions. The shadow cabinet isn't just about opposing extreme MAGA attacks on our government. It's also about making clear what we stand for, not just what we're against.
That gentleman right there, I believe, is from North Carolina. And as soon as he got done with that speech, they should have arrested him. He just proposed in the Capitol building on the floor of whatever room that is in there, a shadow government. And he refers to it in detail, people and position, to what? To subvert the duly elected president if we're to believe that elections are real. If it's the mandate of the people that Trump be president, what did that gentleman just do? What he said and what he's implying is that these individuals commit treason. I believe is how that will be looked at in the future. So that gentleman right there should have probably been put in handcuffs by the sergeant of arms. And I know because we're going to get into freedom of speech and this, that, and the other. But if we're to believe that he has been put in that position by the people that voted for him, what he's done and what he's said, what he's implying, and what actions he's wanting to take are absolutely opposite of what the people did and asked for. And so, therefore, remove him. I say this: if elections were real, like we think, then just by him standing up there on that floor, stating that in the detail that he did, the good people of North Carolina should be allowed to have him removed immediately, and a new election for his position, or the governor puts down, places another gentleman in his spot, however that works out according to the Constitution, Bill of Rights, or legally. And so, the man walks free today, and he's still in the position in which he claims he was placed in, all the while trampling on your rights, my rights, and subverting the mandate of the people through the president. So, makes no sense to me that these elections are not. Makes no sense to me that the elections are real. That doesn't make sense. Let me say that again. Makes no sense. I don't know. Anyway, what he did and what he said should cost him something, because it's absolutely against the will of the people, which we're fixing to get into right now. So this picture right there, we are led to believe that all those counties voted red, and very much a red country when we look at it like that, right? I went over this last week. Look, Oklahoma has no blue. Tennessee has three counties blue out of 98. But when you look, I mean, you'd be lucky to fill California if you took all that blue and stuck it in there. So the narrative was, through the election, was we were led to believe that this was a landslide. And the further away from the election that we get, the further from the truth it becomes. So, is it odd to you that states are still counting? States where votes are still being counted in 2024 election. Look at that. New Mexico, California, Oregon, some counties in Washington, some in Montana. Look at Mississippi there. North Carolina's got a spot. Virginia. Looks like Maryland, a spot in West Virginia. Further up north, New York. Look at that. Wisconsin, Utah. Today is the 27th. And the election was what, on the 6th, 5th? So if these things are truly real, why are these states still counting? I'll go one step further. Watch this right here. You see this, guys, this election 2024. This is the Epoch Times, right? They did a pretty good job. So when you scroll down, where am I at? Let's see. Uh-oh. It's not what I wanted to do. Here we go. My bad, guys. I'm sorry. Right here, I'll get it together. Presidential results. It shows Trump's 312, 226 electoral votes, right? When you scroll down. When I take my cursor across the state, so let's go to California. Let's see if it pops up on the screen, because you can't see my cursor. I have it hidden. But let's see. There we go. Look at that. It shows Kamala Harris won the state of California with 9 million, almost 10 million votes, right? But look at that. 99% of votes counted. This is the presidential election, people. Right there. Right? So there's still 1%. The state of California is still not done counting. And then I got to ask you, do you really believe that in less than 100 days, this lady who is not truly a elected vice president was given the nomination to run as president for the Democratic Party illegally? And so in less than 100 days, she found her way to get 10 million votes nearly in California, and as a total, 74 million votes as a total. And then look over here. If you look over here, Donald Trump says this top number here under where it says Donald Trump 312. See that? 76 million votes at 50%. Right at 50%. Right at it, right? Kamala Harris, 74 million, 48.4%. Is that a landslide, folks? What's the difference? Couple million, right? Couple million. So let's find a state that's completely counted. Look, oh, there's Maine, 99% of the votes still counting. Pennsylvania, 99% of the votes. They're still counting presidential elections. Ohio, that's a red state. Still counting. Look at there, Kentucky, Associated Press certified. Apparently that's 100% of the vote, right? Tennessee, my state. Look, they're still counting presidential votes. And you can't convince me that Kamala Harris got 1 million votes in the state of Tennessee. I would be surprised if she got 100,000. I would be surprised. These numbers that they're telling us, folks, they're not real. See, there's 6 or 7 people that own all the major news networks in the world. 6 or 7. All of them. And they get a script. If you watch the introduction video to my show, you'll see Sinclair Media, there's 50 or 60 of them, all saying the same thing. And all those, by the end of the intro, they're saying the exact same thing at the exact same time. Just beautiful how it was all put together in that video. And so, Associated Press, all of them. CNN, MSNBC, all of them. All of them. It's a script that they're reading from. And so, we've been led to believe that the day after the election, Trump won in a landslide. Killed it. The House, the Senate, almost Reagan-like. And the further away we get from the election, the more the narrative changes, and it's not a landslide anymore. And that should strike us odd, right? So if we go back into, let's do this. Let's go back into, let's look at the House results. Look at here. Right? 220 to 214 says the Republicans there, right? Well, look. Some of these states, I mean, none of them. They're still counting. And the more that they count, the closer and closer those numbers get Some of these are certified, but not all of them. And just amazing to me, man, that it's ridiculous. I mean, look at Tennessee. These are Senate races or House races. And slowly but surely, they've gobbled up little by little, and under the guise of a landslide. We go to the Senate here, same thing. It says 53, so we're 50 plus 3. Flipped, claims we flipped Montana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. But look here, 99% of the votes. 97, look at New York, 97%. Let's go to Arizona. Look, it's certified now. Arizona, all of a sudden, Arizona knows how to count, right? All of a sudden, they know how to count. But look, Trump wins the state, but Kerry Lake loses the Senate. So what happened down ballot just makes no sense. Look at Texas, certified. And they're trying to say that Colin Allred is just 26,000. Well, what's the difference? I thought that was the difference. Anyway. This right here should convince people exactly how illegal that the elections are. So, just to show you a little bit about what's been going on ever since November 6th is this right here. Yeah, Memphis. Memphis for sure is blue, is this is political, guys. Political, the article. Political. What's it say? Trump won less than 50%. Why is everyone calling it a landslide? This is on 11/22. It's noteworthy that Donald Trump's share of the 24 presidential vote has fallen below 50%. You would think it's a big deal based on the relatively few headlines triggered by the milestone, which passed quietly last week, and as California and other states continued their glacially, you hear how he says that? Glacially slow counts. And maybe it should be. After all, Trump's 49.9% for now, it's in parentheses for now, is still more than Kamala Harris's 48.3%. When the counting is done, the margin will probably have shrunk even further. No matter, it still earns him 312 electoral votes from a population that also gives his Republican Party control of the House and the Senate, and he won. If we're to believe that's true. It's a narrative. And this narrative is that right there. Is that the further away we get from the elections, the more and more that this is no longer a landslide. They're trying to convince us that Kamala Harris got that close. She just lost by a thread. The Dems were right there. That the country is truly divided equally in half. But it also should tell us that playing within their rules, supposedly, the election was overwhelmed by the majority, and the mandate of the people has been spoken for. But to see this article right here, that would make you believe differently. All the same numbers might be a wee bit jarring to anyone who has been listening to Washington's triumphal Republicans and self-flagellating Democrats, all of whom seem to have internalized a version of the story that involves a romping, stomping Trump triumph. I said the day after the election when we woke up, we knew that Trump had won. That was normal elections in my lifetime voting. So 2020 was different. And 2024 goes back to almost nearly the same. And so we get this, and it should wake up the masses. Hey, if you guys don't care, hit the like button. There's a live chat. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. And in the future, more to go. Appreciate all the live followers watching at the moment. For me, it's pretty good. So if you don't mind, hit that thumbs up and maybe communicate. Hell, I don't know. So it says it's hard to blame. Even as the counting progressed, Trump's victory was described as resounding by news organizations ranging from the Associated Press, the Washington Post, the New York Times, Political. Others offered commanding win, runaway win, dominant victory. So we'll hit this right here. This little blue thing here. What's this say? Trump is already testing Congress and daring Republicans to oppose him. Right. We hit New York Times. Look here. What's it say? Trump's cabinet picks panned in Washington. Political. 6 takeaways from Trump's stunning win over Harris. They said the same thing. Commanding win. Let's see who says this. Commanding win. MSNBC. Biden stresses a peaceful transfer of power after Trump wins. One more. Let's try one. Runaway win. Who says this? New York Post. Libs gone mad. Election snowflakes rush to New York City. Shrinks offices after Trump's win. Last but not least, dominant victory. Who's this? Time Magazine. How Trump won. Look at that. It's a 19-minute read, guys. A 19-minute read. When was this done? November 7th. What a picture. Yep. What a picture. So, to say what? To coin a phrase, we've defined dominance. So, after years of 50-50, hang on one second, guys. To coin a phrase, we've defined dominance. We've defined dominance down after years of a 50-50 country. It seems even a small win gets talked about like it's shellacking. They're trying to downplay it. They're absolutely trying to downplay this right here. Let's go on down a little bit. If Trump and the slim legislative majority who take office with him wants to see the downside of learning the wrong lesson, they need only to look at the folks they're about to replace. Biden and the Democrats may not have claimed a landslide, but the message they took was the administrator needed to satisfy the social justice activists who marched in 2020, avoiding looking like squishy centrists and dismiss questions about inflation or age as feckless media parroting of GOP talking points. A lot of those decisions are now being blamed on for the 46th president's unpopularity. So we can't win in a landslide. We can't win in a landslide over time. They're diminishing that away. And then the reason that they lost was because of how unpopular Biden was. But I thought Biden was the most popular president ever. He got 81 million votes. The most secure election ever. No, the burden of proof falls on them. It's amazing, guys. I mean, we can't stop fighting just because we won this little battle here. There's a lot more to do. And so it was good to chill out and celebrate the victory for a little while, but then it's time to get back to work. So we got Thanksgiving tomorrow. If you didn't hear me in the beginning, happy Thanksgiving to all you guys out there. Then we got Christmas and New Year's, and in between all that, we got a lot of stuff going on between now and Christmas. December, some things happen up there. And then after Christmas and New Year's, January 6th, on to January 20th, the inauguration. And a lot could happen between now and then. All the fighting, the infighting, and all the exposure of all these people. For example, the deportation of illegals. If your governor's not a part of what's going on, like a Denver's mayor or governor, whoever it was, again, if elections were real, what they say about being a sanctuary city, this is all illegal. And if they're helping that illegality, then they are contributing to being illegal and should be allowed to be removed from their position. And if you can't do that, if there's no pathway to do that, then elections aren't real. So when they get up there in front of the news cameras and say, we're not going to help Trump, we're not going to use our local law enforcement or anything, we're not giving him any National Guard to do these things, then he should be removed, because the mandate of the people suggests actually that. It's more than just a suggestion, just being a little nice about it at the moment. So, if your governor, mayor, elected officials, or so-called elected officials are on the opposite side of that right there, then that, again, is another sign that should tell you that elections aren't real, because these people should not be in those positions if elections were real. Because from what I know from the state that I live in, they didn't win like that. Not like they think they did. And so that should open your eyes about where our elections are at the moment. All right, let's go to another article. Mockingbird narrative in lockstep. Both New York Times and Political diminish historic Trump GOP victory on same day. This is Brian Lupo for the Gateway Pundit. Brian Lupo is also known as CanCon from Badlands Media, Badlands Daily, and he basically reiterates what those other media outlets did. So as it were planned, liberals who hung on every word of a Mockingbird propagandist, outlets like the New York Times and Political, woke up this morning to two inaccurate but reassuring headlines from each of the aforementioned media conglomerates. Trump won less than 50%, and the landslide that wasn't. In the stand, first below the title, New York Times chief White House correspondent Peter Baker writes, the latest vote count shows that Donald Trump won the popular vote by one of the smallest margins since the 19th century. But Trump claims a powerful mandate, and that mandate would be the people. Political Schaefer is a little more blunt in his stand, first stating that right and left have brought the narrative of a crushing triumph, and they're wrong. But are they? In 2012, San Francisco Giants swept the Detroit Tigers in the World Series, winning 4 straight games. That was 12 years ago, in which the World Series has occurred in each succeeding season. In the same time frame, we've had just 4 elections, including both 12 and 24. Prior to the 2012 sweep of the World Series, the last sweep was 8 years prior, in 2005, when the Chicago White Sox swept the Houston Astros. The last sweep before that, 1990, Cincinnati Reds sweeping the Oakland Athletics. It's a rare occurrence. In any of those World Series, it's irrelevant what the score of the individual game are. Even if they won by just a single run, winning is winning. But a sweep is monumental. We'll get all of the brooms because a sweep is precisely what Donald Trump did in the 24 presidential election. Not only did President Trump win 312 electoral votes, the first time a Republican's done so in 20 years, he also swept every single swing state from 2020, and he picked up a win in Nevada where he broke a 4-election win streak for the Democrats. Trump won Florida by more than 13 points and almost 1.5 million votes. This includes a huge win in the former Democratic stronghold of Miami-Dade County by an earth-shattering 11.5%. The electoral of the United States is pretty solid in its direction. Statewide Republican candidates aren't likely to win California, New York, or Massachusetts, while Democrats aren't likely to win Texas, Florida, or Oklahoma. Contrary to fact checks, Harris won all but 2 of the states that did not require voters to show an ID, Pennsylvania and Nevada. Strange, huh? Of the remaining 35 states requiring voter ID, Trump won all but 6: Virginia, Colorado, Delaware, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire. Totally not a landslide, though. So, I would argue that we're still in a period of time where voting it's still fake. It's not real. And several examples as to why on this evening's show. So I don't have a lot of anything else other than the fact that I wanted to let's see, we did all that right there. All right. Let's get on X for a second. Caught up content. Let's see if there is any caught up content. Did I save something? Hang on. Nope. No, I did not. Okay, so right here.
Everything we do is under fire. Elon Musk sits on Twitter every day, or X today, saying like, we are the media, you are the media. My message to Elon Musk is, bullshit. You're not the media. You having a blue check mark a Twitter handle, and 300 words of cleverness doesn't make you a reporter any more than me looking at your head and seeing that you have a brain and telling you I have an awesome set of tools makes me a damn neurosurgeon, right? Like,
that dude right there is the CEO of Axios, and he's at the National Press Club and has a meltdown because we are the news. Okay, let's see real quick. This is a good one right here, guys.
Incoming Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, Stephen Miller, joins me now. Stephen Miller, I don't think I get a chance to congratulate you on air, so congratulations.
Thank you. It's our first time being together since this historic landslide victory, so it's great to be with you under such jubilant circumstances.
Jubilant for some. If you're Joy Reid, not so jubilant. She's thinking your uncle's going to narc on you.
All of the right people are unhappy, and all of the right people are absolutely overjoyed.
And that's when you know if a pick is good. If someone likes a nomination that you don't like, you're like, oh, no. But if someone's freaking out, you're like, that's the guy.
Yes, that's always the tell.
So where are you now in terms of this transition? It looks like Gates is gone, Bondi's in, and it should be smooth sailing. How are you seeing things?
Well, President Trump has assembled, as I'm sure you've seen, Jesse, the most transformative set of cabinet secretaries in American history. I mean, RFK, who's going to take on the deep state at HHS, take on the corruption in medicine, and make America truly and actually healthy again. You mentioned Pam Bondi. I've known Pam for years. She's a close friend. Look, people know that she has sterling credentials, amazing, unparalleled intellect. But here's what people may not know that I know. She is tough as nails. You want an AG who's going to take down the cartels, take down the migrant gangs, who's going to use the 70,000 law enforcement officers at DOJ to get rid of the foreign criminal enterprises in this country? That's Pam Bondi. This is the AG that is going to help President Trump deliver on his promise to liberate America. President Trump has also announced a transformative pick for OMB, Russ Vogt, that just came out. Russ Vogt, nobody, and I don't mean there's any competition here. Russ Vogt has been the guy for the last 4 years who's been developing the plan to take down the deep state. That's Russ. And he's going to be right there at OMB to execute that plan. This is really incredible stuff, Jesse. I know these people.
This
is exactly what America voted for.
Take us inside this transition. You were appointed pretty early in this process. As you see people come on board, are you calling? Are you already talking strategy? What's the conversation like inside?
Well, President Trump has assembled, in addition to what you're seeing publicly announced, he's assembled a world-class policy team behind the scenes that's working every day to put together the day one executive actions and executive orders that are going to implement every single one of his campaign promises, whether you're talking about public health, whether you're talking about the national invasion and emergency on our southern border, whether you're talking about the diversity, equity, and inclusion policies, whether you're talking about getting men out of women's sports, out of women's bathrooms, out of women's locker rooms, right? All the things that President Trump barnstormed the country campaigning on are now being put at his direction and order and instruction into written form so that the first day, the first week, the first 100 days will be a bolt of lightning. And all of the policies, reforms that Americans have been begging for and pleading for and asking for President Trump is going to deliver one after another. The swamp, the deep state, and the communists will not know what hit them.
So, Miller, when the pen hits the paper on the EO on day one, on immigration, tell us what some of those executive actions are going to look like on day one.
Well, I can't reveal everything now. There has to be some anticipation. But what
Give
I
us
can
a little
say,
tease. Show us a little leg, Miller.
What I can say is this. As President Trump has said, on day one, the southern border slams shut to illegal immigration. So all the illegal aliens all over the world who've been taking a free ride at America's expense for 4 years, guess what? You show up, you're not getting in, you're not getting through, you're not getting released, you're not going to any city anywhere in America. The only thing you're getting, courtesy of the U.S. taxpayer, is a flight back home. Goodbye, see you later, not coming in. And then on top of that, of course, as has been much discussed, ICE, Homeland Security investigations, and as I mentioned, the core elements of the Department of Justice are going to launch deportation sweeps to get these criminal gangs out of our country. So we're going to liberate, under President Trump's direction as commander-in-chief, his plan and his vision, we are going to liberate one town after another. And for that alone, President Trump should be carved to Mount Rushmore for what he's about to do to set American cities free.
Well, I think Nancy said Joe is going on Mount Rushmore. They're going to have to maybe take a different pickaxe and fight for it up there. Tell me one more thing about these guys resisting in these cities. They're saying it's a sanctuary city, Miller. These Democrat resistance fighters are going to say, we're going to line up cops around the block, and if Jose raped a kid, we're going to let him stay. We don't want anybody kicking him out and sending him home. What is that going to look like?
Well, for one thing, I can promise you, police officers in these cities are going to be desperate to work with, to work alongside federal law enforcement officer to clean out these nests of criminal aliens. The president has the endorsement, as you know, of the Fraternal Order of Police. No one's had more support from sheriffs, law enforcement, rank and file police. I promise you, when the liberators show up, when they roll up in their federal law enforcement uniforms with those vests, the local police are going to join them arm in arm to get the migrant killers, gang members, and drug dealers out of the country. They will be the first in line. They will be handing over these criminal migrants to federal law enforcement, and where they have to go into the homes, they'll be right there alongside them, because these police officers, I don't care what these mayors say, these cops, they know who the criminals are threatening their cities. And when federal law enforcement under President Trump's directions on day one roll up into those cities and roll out into those gang nests, the local cops are going to be right there with them saying, we are here to help you get them out. The mayors are going to lose this fight, the sanctuary mayors, and they're going to lose it badly. Jason.
And one of the ways you can do it, too, is just dangle the money, because they need federal cash to survive, especially Democrat mayors. So if you're going to be a sanctuary city to criminals and people don't belong here, why are we giving you all this money if you're not cooperating with the mass deportation? That money should go away, right?
Yes. President Trump's been very clear. Every federal lever, including financial, will be used to end sanctuary cities' defiance and absolute shirking of their constitutional and legal duties. The federal government has supremacy on immigration enforcement without even a question. This is settled law. The federal government is the entity that has the final say on immigration enforcement. And if these states continue to shield, as they have, people that are raping and murdering children, every federal tool at President Trump's disposal will be used to bring these cities into compliance. And let me tell you something, Jesse. The American people will cheer. They will cheer. They will celebrate when their parks are clean and safe for their little kids, when there aren't rapists that are trying to menace innocent girls and children, when they can send their kids to school without having to worry about Tren de Aragua or MS-13, when they can take a stroll in the evening on a warm, beautiful night and not have to worry about getting crushed in the skull by someone stalking up behind them who doesn't even belong in our country, they will cheer. Not just Republicans, independents, Democrats, Americans all over the country will say, thank God that President Trump is in the Oval Office and is saving our cities from the people that were brought into the country under Joe Biden who do not belong here. The criminals who came out of these other countries, they're fugitives, they're killers, they're inmates. They're going to be set up on planes and they're going to be flown back to wherever they came from.
An inspiring bellow from Stephen Miller on the eve of Thanksgiving. Wow. What power, what force.
America will be Thanksgiving.
Pretty cool right there. That's Stephen Miller. Pretty cool. Going to be excellent. So all right, here's another good one. We're almost done, guys. Some of these are good, though.
Going to mobilize tier 1 units against the cartel. Dude, if those guys are hunting you,
yeah.
By the way, like, you're done. You're fucking done.
Is that a real thing that they've proposed doing?
Yes, that is a real thing.
Who proposed that?
I'm almost positive either JD or Trump had said something with the new guy from ICE. Like, the only thing I thought was like, retire. If you guys got some money, man, I would like put that away. Yeah. You know, like maybe move Jamaica.
Open
I don't know, go somewhere.
Yeah,
buy a restaurant. Like try to go legit.
Weird thing that's going on right at our border.
So
it's a
strange.
Weird thing. Because it's so close to us and it's so ultra-violent and dangerous. And it's just completely shaped the way the entire economy of the country works. You know, they have so much power and control. And it's a criminal organization that is almost entirely, at least, funded by us, by our desire. Trump declares war on cartels. President-elect said notorious crime syndicates and drug kingpins will never sleep soundly again once he launches his plans to tackle the issue.
I've thought about this for a long time where I'm like, if they turn loose Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 on cartels and pedophiles, we could just kind of like erase the problem in about 2 years. To be gone.
He wants to send troops to Mexico. He said we make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and operations. Oh, Jesus. Bro, it is going to get wild come January 20th.
It's going to get wild, man.
It is going to get wild. Very interesting. But the thing is, like, people, inaction is action as well when it comes to this. Like, you're going to continue to prop them up. They're going to get more and more power and more money. And we got to figure out why everybody wants Coke. What the fuck?
Unconventional warfare. Trump, did you hear what he said right there? Where's this? Let me. Right here. Other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum. Let's see. Make appropriate. Cyber warfare. And another overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership. Actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership. That's amazing, guys. If it's to be true. That's 11 minutes. We won't do that. There's the whole shadow government. See, look, guys, you can get on here on X. Look, I mean, there's... All right, let's listen to this. Oh, this is a good one right here. It's gonna make people upset. Don't get upset.
If you had a Cat 4 dental, they pulled your tooth because you can't be out in the field with a major, dental emergency where there's no dentist. And so I deployed with a lot of guys who were like, oh, because they just had a tooth pulled and they had to. Yet we're now allowing people who used to be men or women join, and then after that we pay for medical or physical transitions to another gender, which by definition makes them non-deployable and non-trainable because they're, and the same thing with asthma medication or inhalers. Like when you're in basic training, you can't have an inhaler when you're doing your exercises because you can't count on having an inhaler in a combat situation. Well, if you're medically dependent on drugs to maintain your gender or a particular balance of chemicals inside your body, you're by definition non-deployable. And so they'd have soldiers who can't train, can't deploy, have been on the books, and yet everyone has to be careful about what pronoun you use with them.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with how effective a unit's gonna be. And yet so something like that should be banned on day one in a Trump administration. We're not doing and he did that. It got immediately reversed under Biden. Things like that, because it's a top-down, I'm not saying top-down is the only way that works. I know that. I know that you top-down things and people can ignore it and they can maneuver it and they can work around it. I just think there's enough of a core inside the DOD that if you push top-down and then you change the way you do basic training and the way you do recruiting and the way you do the military academies, you have a fighting chance to restore an ethos. Now, that doesn't say anything about how the politicians will use that military in the future, which they have a horrible track record of, but institutionally, you at least have a chance. Maybe. I mean, I think that one of the amazing parts is the lies that our senior leaders were willing to tell us, even though they knew they were not true. Like suddenly this idea that Mark Milley just discovered that the whole institution was systemically racist, that all these bases needed to be changed, like, Fort Bragg can't be Fort Bragg. I mean, if I'm correct, I think he was the commander, of Fort Hood, I think. Why didn't he speak up when he was at Fort Hood? How could you possibly command at a base named after a Confederate and not say something? So what are you, complicit? But now suddenly after George Floyd, to your point, after defund the police, it became faddish to insinuate that the military ranks are infected with racists, that it's all these white nationalists under the radar with tattoos just waiting to pop up. And ultimately, on the recruiting side, what you've done is you Bud Lighted yourself. You basically, we'll get to that in a second. But what they knew in the process is it wasn't true. So when the Army and the whole military got around to actually doing the studies of, extremism in the ranks, the number of extremists or racists writ large in our country is there's like 7% or whatever. Maybe I'm wrong. Inside the military, it's like 0.07%. So the military has done a better job writ large than other institutions of keeping racism out of its ranks. I don't know about you, but I didn't tolerate racism when I was a commander. If it ever happened, it was addressed. And for the most part, it didn't happen because we were all in on the same mission regardless of, and everybody knew that. Milley should have known that. He knew that. But he knew what the political leaders wanted to hear. That, there were some vets on Capitol Hill on January 6th. They must be extremists. We must have a racism problem. Let's do a 60-day stand down for extremism. And let's bring in Bishop Garrison, a noted, white-hating, Trump-hating DEI advocate, to lead it. And as if he'll be the one that identifies who's racist and who isn't racist. So they introduced more racism in the name of ending racism, which is the definition of anti-racism, which is a totally racist approach meant to divide us against ourselves. Yet anyone who is in the military knows that's not the problem we have.
Yeah.
So that's Pete Hegseth, and that's amazing what he's saying right there. So, and I like it. I like the idea that he wants to change, though. So again, is that gentleman a character? Is he actual, or is he exposing something? The military's been exposed. There's no doubt about it. We're not. I'm not going to say that we're not in a position to take care of ourselves, but there is a percentage of the military who are exactly what he's talking about. So, all right, guys, that's good enough for a show this evening. We went over, let's see, the cabinet picks, and if they were characters, or they were actuals, or they're part of some op to expose something. At least a few of them, especially the ones that upset the guys in the media, because when they get mad, man, they just cry. And then we went over elections, and it's something that we don't need to stop blowing the horn about. We want one day, valid ID. I say valid, but valid ID elections. We want them real. We want accountability. We want to be able to hold a politician to the mandate. And if they're doing things like not supporting the deportation of illegals, then they need to be removed from the position in which they claim they were duly elected, and so on and so forth. Government's way too big, and I hope Elon and them expose that for what it is, and then so between what's left of the exposure phase into the disclosure phase, yeah, and then all the while the dollar's doing its thing, Bitcoin's doing its thing. No one's talking about. I mean, have you heard anything from Trump as of yet? I have not, about what's going on with Ukraine and Russia. The fact that Biden and all of them have released the authority to use some sort of long-range missile, and then Putin fires back with that one. And where's Trump in all of this? J.D. Vance, where's all these characters at? None of those characters are talking about what the hell's going on over there. What about Israel and Hamas? Things to think about, guys. Some of this shit may or may not have been real, or it all was, or it all isn't. And once again, I know that's a broad statement when you say stuff like that, but if you game theory things out, you got to game theory it out that way. There's all sorts of destinations that the outcome could go, and it's hard to figure it all out. Probably not even close. Because, see, the information that's passed down to the media is passed down by intelligence. So they are only giving us the information that the intelligence wants us to have, whatever 3 or 4 letter agency that they add to the intelligence part of it. So we are far from completely free. I want to be free indeed. So with that being said, I think I will see you guys on Friday. I don't know, because tomorrow's Thanksgiving, it's Turkey Day, Family Day, Get Together Day, whatever day. And then it's more than whatever day. But and there's Friday. And if I do a show Friday, it's basically going to be over that. Oh my God, I forgot the name of the damn magazine. It's totally escaped me. About the Elon and Vivek Doge and exactly what they're going to do. And you can help yourself by watching. I'm your moderator on Rumble, Chris Paul, and he goes through it. Friday's episode 1122, 24, He goes through it about, you probably got about halfway through the show. I think the show's 2 hours, 30 minutes. Go to the 1 hour and 10-minute mark maybe. And you'll find it with the, oh my God, it's WJ. Something Journal. Can't believe I forgot the name. It just truly means it's time to end the show. So, happy Thanksgiving. Love your loved ones. Parents, grandparents, wives, kids, grandkids. Don't get wrapped up too much into what's going on. But don't get caught up in all the garbage out there that's supposed to make you comfortable, so you're not paying attention to what's going on. And, yeah. So, probably see you Friday. Have a good evening, guys. God bless.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
As the world watches and listens in horror, the peaceful pro-democracy demonstration in China comes to a violent and bloody end. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Wolves hiding nearby, whispering do or die around me. You say your last good night while I
There is another very important phase of warfare. It has as its target not the body, but the mind of the enemy.
The target of psychological warfare is against the enemy's mind.
It is words and ideas.
The ammunition used by Psywar.
Its mission is to influence the thoughts of the enemy soldier, and at the same time
is expected and encouraged to study foreign languages and the social sciences such as history, economics, and sociology. He must have a broad and sympathetic understanding of all phases of human experience.
Gripping at my skin, the walls of night close in.
But the use of this force as an integral part of combat has now taken on new form.
My last goodbye.
These are the Psy-War soldiers.
My heart pumping all day long, getting me to morning when darkness comes. My heart, ooh. It takes so long to mend. It's harder to lean on this shell of a man. You found love in the Lord, your family and your friends. Could you please pray for me that I can find the same within? My heart pumping all day long. When the evening comes, please stay strong. Give me the morning when darkness falls. My heart, I found victory in the Father's love from the day we wed. And those vows to hold true. Nothing's gonna tear me down until the damn end. My heart belongs to you. I'm a heart, just this time, put your faith within. I'm a heart that you'll find what you love, and there's no breaking it. I'm a heart, just this time, put your faith within. I'm a heart that you'll find what you love, and there's no breaking it. I'm a heart, just this time, put your faith within. I'm a heart that you'll find what you love, and there's no breaking it. I'm a heart, just this time, put your faith within. I'm a heart that you'll find what you love, and there's no breaking I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust is the beauty of a smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like a love, nothing like a love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, the way she
holds you tight when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. That's when you find out what you're made of. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna head on home before it gets too late. I turn it upside down and be thankful for what he gave. I'm gonna pick my bones up and walk through the storm I made. I'm gonna hold on tight to you when it gets rough. Yeah. I'm gonna lay down all my cards and call your bluff. Because the one thing in this moonlit room I trust, yeah, the beauty of the smile and the warmth inside your touch. Oh, there's nothing like love of a woman. The way she holds you tight, when you need it most. It gives you just that little bit, just to keep on living. And that's when you find out what you're made of. That's when you find out. That's when you find out what you're made of.